everybody, welcome back. It's episode 6 of the Evolution Video Podcast, joined as always this week by the legend Andy White, all the way from tropical West Beach, St. Mary. And this is going to be quite a special episode of the podcast, because this week we're joined by some very special guests, and that is the guys from Three Man Contingent in Ireland. Ireland hasn't been absorbed into the United States of America. And the reason I'm saying that is because the accents are going to confuse the life out of you, but both Neil and Seamus are American guys who came over from America to Ireland, started a design business. They've done some amazing work for our customers. One of those really sweet moments where everybody involved won. The customer had a great experience. These guys got paid and we got the kudos because we were the guys who put that together. So anywhere we can do that, that's something we love to do. So I think our topic this week, and you'll see that not only the production value of this show is 50 pence, but the prep time is about 50 seconds, because we're just going to riff on the subject of what makes a successful design project. God knows, I'm pretty sure everybody on this call has been involved in many, many unsuccessful ones. So it's important to recognise the key ingredients that make up a really successful design project. So maybe a good start would be for you, Seamus, to kick off. Just introduce yourself, tell the guys a bit about what you guys do, and then maybe highlight or showcase one of the design projects. I think the Continua one would be a great example, and just talk through the process, how it went, how the communication happened, how the changes were managed back and forth, and how that ended up being super successful for everybody involved.
That's great, yeah. Thanks for having us on as well. We appreciate it. And we really enjoyed working on the Evolution sites. And this example one, Continua, was a great project. We really enjoyed being able to make a custom design for it and really highlight their products and their business in their own way, and kind of build off of the marketing that they had already started, and be able to put that as a custom skin onto the Evolution product. And what we found, I suppose, is we definitely found that design goes through a few different phases. I think one of the things I'll highlight, and I'll let Neil kind of talk about some of the phases and such, is that we found that as you get into the design process, and our company, Neil tends to be one who's very artistic and very good on the design, and then I tend to specialize on the technical side of things, and so I help to bring that design to life on the Evolution store software and make that technical part of it happen. So we merge those two things. We merge the technology and we merge the design to really make an effective product. It really makes it work for everybody involved. And what we found was that one thing that happens as soon as you get into the design of any project with any client is that all of a sudden the juices start flowing, especially after they see that first mock-up, and the ideas start really coming out, where they might have had no idea when they had a blank slate. Now they have lots of ideas, and indeed we start getting ideas as well. And one of the things that we've employed as a technique and tool to help manage that, something that some people in the industry might call feature creep, is that we will consider options for a phase 2 if necessary. So we'll say, okay, well, what are the things that we're identifying as our prime objectives in phase 1? And that can be, for example, the schedule. We want to keep the schedule tight and get it live as quickly as possible for everyone involved. And so we'll make sure that as we discuss things as it goes through the design process and the design evolves, that if things should be pushed to phase 2 so that they don't delay the project, and that obviously it allows then the project to go quicker, and we still get that design up and running, and then we have a great list to work from for phase 2 if necessary. So that's one thing that we found to be very helpful, because definitely it's something that happens in every project, is that lots of ideas come at us at all stages of the process, even right at the end of the process. And so we have to make a call each time. Go on now.
Yeah, sorry, and just as Seamus was saying there, it's the infinite imagination doesn't fit your infinite budget or your finite budget, and that's really what it comes down to. So it is important. Usually when we're hitting that the first mock-up stage, that's when everything starts blossoming and the imagination starts running wild. So it is great for us to get the chance to work with clients and actually manage that and say, okay, well, let's take that imagination and let's focus it down into something that we can really accomplish in a very short and time frame and budget, of course. So it is very important to get through those things. And then, of course, looking at phase 2, that is so important in the design process, to say, okay, look, we don't always have to do it in the first go. We can look at this over the course of 2 different phases, and thanks to Evolution, of course, they allow us to do that, to come back with those changes and say, okay, well, right, lads, we got phase 2 now. Do you mind, implementing that for us? So they've been great in the support for that.
And guys, in my experience with these design projects as well, in many cases, the customer will come to the designer without having any idea of how they want the site to look, and they're kind of expecting you to figure that out. And I think sometimes in that instance, it's, you need to be, what's the right word? You need to be cruel to be kind. Sometimes it's worth, obviously engaging them, talking it through, trying to provoke some ideas, but it's almost wasted time if you're just riffing on a design without really understanding what the client's trying to do. And I think a lot of guys who don't have the communication skills, because in design companies, and our company's the same, you have guys who are good design guys, and we've got design guys, and you've got guys who are programmers, and they're completely different disciplines. And to make a successful design, those two things need to come together. But then there's always a guy who's a good communicator, a guy who can speak and deal with the customers. And, I'm prepared to be wrong here, and I am wrong about many things, don't worry about that. But my experience is, if you just go, if the guy goes, well, just do something, I'm sure it'll be cool. That's sometimes, if you cave in at that point, say, okay, I'm going to do something and we'll get you something back. Sometimes think you're doing yourself and them a disservice. It's much better to, I think, throw it back at the customer and really get them to think about it. A good design, it should be hard work. And everybody should have had to work hard to make that happen, not just, gets thrown onto the designer, and it's his responsibility to make the vision that the guy couldn't conjure up in his own head.
Yeah, we inevitably find that with our customers, it's definitely the case that we have people who are personally invested many times in their business. It's not like Coca-Cola hiring us to do marketing and they just say, look, this is your brief, go off and do it. It's quite different. It's quite the case that the individuals we're talking with are emotionally and physically invested in their business, and they want to be a part of that new design that's going to become the face of their company online. And so it's quite important that even if they're tempted to say, you guys make a great design and we'll go with it, that really the fact is that they need to see themselves in it in some way. And so we need to understand, first of all, their business and where they're coming from, because it's not as simple as a one-size-fits-all for these designs. You need to actually talk to the guys. You need to understand, what is it about their business that makes it unique? What other products and services might they be focusing on? What regions and so on? And to really understand them and try to come at it from their perspective. There's really no point in us drawing something that we think looks great if it doesn't reflect their business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it pretty much sums it up that at the end of the day, we're talking about artistic preference, and like all art, some things that I think are going to look nice, you're going to think are absolutely diabolical. And just like we all want our houses painted different colors, we all want our websites looking different. We all have different aspirations for those. So, like James is saying, getting inside the client's head and saying, look, I'm not building a website for me. I'm building a website for you. This design is about you, and it has to reflect you. And for me to be your tool to accomplish that goal is you have to feed me that. You have to come back to me and say, what reflects your business? What are the aspects that you want to let shine in this particular project? And each project is different. Each client is different. So each industry, of course, is different. So all of those things, has to be given by the client to us. And like you said, Patrick, it all takes that communication. And it's about, sometimes we don't hit it, and we do our best, we take a stab at it, and sometimes we're wrong, and we're willing to go back to the drawing board if necessary, and we try and build that all into the cost of the project. Keeping those budgets reasonable for our clients. So it's all about communication. So
agreed. And you can have the best technical team, design team, but if you don't have somebody fronting that who communicates well, you're dead, basically. That's why we have Andy. The legend. Who's been very quiet in this podcast, uncharacteristically so I'm going to give him an opportunity to say something.
It was funny, you were talking, you introduced me as the guy that communicates, but I'm the only person who hasn't spoken yet. But maybe when I do speak, everyone just listens. But
that was a bit of a non sequitur, wasn't it?
It didn't really fit for me, but I'm sure I'm the only person that picked that out. We'll cut that out. But I think the thing is, it's important for the people watching this in their offices and maybe at home or wherever they are to realise that when it comes to our product, the Evolution Webstore, you do have lots of different routes you can go down, and what we're talking about today with Freeman is the route of going down for a bespoke web store. So you can literally, I think a lot of you guys may not even know this, but with the Evolution product, you can have it to pretty much look like what you want it to look like. So you would have seen earlier in the video as we cut to an example of the continuous store. And also we were looking at Office Things there, two stores that look completely different, but both with loads of what you may call added features like the mega menus and things like that. And so what we're really pointing out is that the facility you guys have as existing Evolution customers, and those of you who may be watching considering an Evolution web store, you're not confined to the designs that we do provide for you. You can literally have anything you want. So that's something I'd really like to point out, and I think that that's something that Freeman have done very, very well with Continua and with Office Things, and certainly my feedback from speaking to those dealers has been they've been over the moon, really have.
Hey guys, I've got a quick question for you because this has always fascinated me. I think some people are always quite unrealistic about the timeline that's involved to do design work properly and get the right outcome. What would you say would be the optimum or what's the right word? It's not optimum. Realistic timeline of a successful design project. Because I haven't seen a successful design project that happened in a week or a couple of days or 2 weeks. So, what's your experience on that?
Well, we would love to do it in a week because it would keep the cost down and it'd be fantastic. But the reality is that a typical design when we're on the go with the client and we're just pop, communication is flying and we're doing really well, it still will take 4 to 6 weeks for it to do the full implementation. And of course that it demands everybody is on the same page and everybody is coming back as quickly as possible with responses because when we're doing the design is to be implemented on Evolution, of course, and that has a complication. And of course, when we're doing the design, we go through mock-up phases, and those as quickly as we can get information feedback on those individual mock-ups, that's the faster the design process can go. And of course, what it starts off with, that's assuming that we have good communication, we really hit the mark on day one, and that we understand what the client, what the customer is looking to actually to do with their website. If there's a lot of indecisiveness, that process can go on significantly longer, and of course, that's not cost effective for anybody. And so it's very, very important to keep that limit that time period down as much as possible.
And what we have to always keep in mind and remind the customers as well is that when we are creating a bespoke product each time. So when we're looking at, let's say, the Continua example, that has a mega drop-down menu that's never been built before, and so we're creating something, out of thin air. And the first time that gets coded, I guarantee you there's going to be bugs that need to be fixed. It's just part of the business, So, we can't say, oh, it's going to be, it takes this long to code, so it'll be ready at that period. No, it's actually going to be ready after we do testing and we do bug fixes and we go back to the customer and tweak things because, it's one thing to draw it on a static page and to say, okay, that's a screenshot of what we expect it to look like. It's another thing to actually use it because these things at the end of the day on the website are going to be dynamic. They're going to interact with your mouse and with yourself. So you want, obviously, that's going to change a little bit how you see it when it's actually a moving item as opposed to a static picture that we start off with. So, there's lots in that. And, it's important to remember that all feeds into that 4 to 6 weeks minimum,
And guys, just wrapping up this section of the podcast, can you just talk me through maybe just in a minute or two, a truncated version of how the process works from engagement with the client right through to delivering the finished design?
Yeah, so it starts off with telephone calls with the client in order to discuss with them what they're looking for, what branding they've already done, or are they rebranding from scratch, and then everything from color schemes to existing logos and photos and images and all sorts of materials that they have. They have an existing website that might or might not influence the new design on Evolution's site, and then we go into a mock-up stage. And so the mock-up stage is where usually Niall's creating the mock-up and going back and forth again with the customer in order to say, okay, here's maybe the navigation system we're looking at, and it might be just a piece of the mock-up that way. And then as a key elements like logo, navigation and things are decided, they influence the rest of the site. So you sometimes need to change the decisions you made early on based on those elements that you finally agreed to. And then you build out, and you try to say, okay, that's the navigation locked down. Now we build out the rest of the look and feel of the home page. And then we basically try to get a fairly finished home page that we want. And then we go into coding the actual functionality of the drop-down or any other special areas. There might be flash areas that are changing on the home page and things like that. And then we go into coding those, and we then start actually coding a local version of the template that we can begin testing and doing. And that's a lot of stuff we're doing in-house. And then we're basically producing those files in a test environment, and then later putting it onto the Evolution Store to actually see live on the Evolution Store. And of course, tweaking and modifying and such is going all the way around. And to give you just a quick list of some of the things that we've done that kind of evolved the Evolution Store from its original templates was not only the custom mega drop-downs that we've done, and they've had lots of subcategory functionality and things like that, but also we've been able to do things like have a single or double column homepage while still having a 3-column subsequent pages on the rest of the site. So that was something that was nice to be able to innovate, to give a feel like you got a completely custom look that still draws on the whole theme, but it's custom on the home page, and then it breaks into the more 3-column look on the rest of the pages. So that's the flexibility we can bring. And then another thing was we could, for example, adjust the width of the overall site in order to make columns larger if need be, to add functionality there. And so, there's all sorts of flexibility that Evolution's package gives us to make changes to the look and feel.
And guys, I take it the design work that you can provide goes beyond the website. You can do email templates, banner content, because we have a whole bunch of guys who are happy with the design, but they've got elements of the design they'd like to change, so they want a new flash banner. It's coming up to Christmas. For some reason, loads of guys want weird snowdrops falling on the website. All of that kind of stuff. That's all within the scope of what Freeman can do for the customers. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one thing that we do that's great fun is we can go beyond just the normal banner manager that would be built in. That let's say a customer who has basic graphics ability would do. We can actually go and we can literally change the entire site's look to give it an entire Christmas feel if we want to, or whatever. So the flexibility is enormous. And I just would also mention that we also have portions of our company that create and manage other cloud applications that might be useful internal to their business, like cloud email, CRM, etc.
Okay, cool. So guys, I'm going to wrap this section of the podcast up. So that's Freeman Contingent, based in Ireland. If you're considering a design project, if you're thinking about revamping the Evolution Store, maybe it's getting a bit stale and tired, then you should definitely speak to these guys. Guys, how can they, obviously we'll publish some details at the end of the video, but how can guys contact you?
Well, of course, like all that's right, the website, of course, like everything else.
Okay.
They can contact us through there. All our details are on there, and you'll see pretty little pictures of us and everything. So.
Will the picture be just as pretty as it is right now? Where you're all blogged out, like some guy in a line-up parade?
Give her the wrinkles in there.
I'm innocent man, I don't know who you are. Okay guys, so just finishing up the video now, I'm going to pass it over to Andy for this week's top tip.
Cool.
Cut
Okay.
VT.
no VTs this week. We've been cutting in. Thank you guys. Can we all do it together? Top tip.
There it is.
Oh, I love it. It's like singing out of a T-Mobile advert. Thanks, guys. This week the top tip is top twit is going to be about Twitter. I know it's something that gets covered quite regularly these days, but never really in any sort of depth. You may see articles in the industry magazines here and there about it, but I wanted to look at today more of not a how-to, but maybe more so of a how not to, because we're quite active as a company on Twitter, and we see quite a bit of what I would call bad practice. That's not to say that it's black and white bad practice. The thing is with social media I always say it's so young and it's something so new that I'm always a little bit wary of anyone that would class themselves as an expert, because being an expert at something that's only been around a couple of years is quite a difficult thing to say. But my opinion that there are some things that guys you could perhaps be doing wrong. So I just wanted to point some of those out. And obviously, if you stop doing things badly and start doing them right, then we're all going to start winning more from it. So I have actually published this list before. You may have read it on my own blog, which I'll link up to, and we'll also put these tips onto the Evolution blog as well, which will be linked on the video. But there's basically just 10 points, and I'll just read through them. The first one is quite obvious, but yet people still do it a lot, which is don't tweet purely promotional things. See Twitter as almost like a communication tool. If you imagine as your Twitter output as what you would say to someone if you're at a networking event or something like that, you wouldn't just walk around the room and going, by the way, offer here, offer there, did you know we can help you here, did you know we can help you there? You'd put your personality into it and things like that as well. So make sure you're acting as if someone's listening to you all the time, because if you just tweet constantly nothing but promotional things, people are going to soon tune out and unfollow you. Okay. The second one is
Andy will send you a tud in the post.
Yes. Well,
it's the other bad thing I've been sending.
Yes.
Some promotions all the time.
The second point, similar to the first, which is don't spam your timeline. So if you've got something to say, or you've got a lot to say, maybe space it apart a little bit. There's nothing more frustrating as when you as a person go on to read Twitter and there's just a wall of text from one person that you may not be interested in, and that's likely to get you unfollowed. And once you're unfollowed, you've lost the interest of that person. Number 3, be human. Kind of similar to the first one, but if somebody feels like there's a person behind your Twitter account, then they're much more likely to interact and listen to what you have to say. So even if you are fronting your Twitter account as your company's name, there's still no reason why you can't act like the person that's behind it. Number 4, never ignore people. That's a big one. Where people can tweet you, mention you so that you see that they've spoken about you, or they can direct message you. Always reply, unless it's a spam message, and they're quite obvious to point out, but always reply and just start a conversation with someone. No auto messages. Controversial, this one. You may believe in that there's value in having them. I don't. I think that if I follow someone and I receive an auto message, I don't look at it positively. I think, well, that person's just sent out a random message to me that he could be sending out to everyone. That's not to say that if someone starts following you, you can still message them, but just make it personal to that person. Don't say, thanks for following me, and then a link to your site or something like that. It's quite cringeworthy.
Don't follow people home and then set up a step ladder outside the bedroom window. Tried it, just get
yeah, that's not on here, but I could perhaps put that on. Another one. Another one on here, guys. Number 6 is don't refer to your followers as your fans. They're really not your fans. If you do call them fans, they're it's a funny old thing. Unless you've got millions of followers and your name's Justin Bieber or something like that, then yeah, perhaps you can get away with calling them your fans. But if you're just an office supplies dealer or something like that, they're not your fans, and you're probably going to upset them a little bit by claiming that they're a fan of yours, because they may just like you. Number 7, keep away from controversy. The obvious ones here are politics and religion. Basically, if you think it's possible to offend someone, then don't say it. The worst case scenario is that if you do offend someone, they're going to have an argument with you, which never looks good. Best case scenario, if you offend someone, is they're going to unfollow you, so you've got nothing from it. So always try and keep away from controversy. Number 8, follow the people that will benefit you. I don't know what it is about office supplies. I don't know if it happens in other industries, but it seems that the majority of office supplies dealers on Twitter follow other office supplies dealers, which is okay if you want to hear what everyone else is up to, if you want to use it as a bit of a spy tool, but there's much more to Twitter than that. And imagine it a bit like you wouldn't send one of your sales reps around to one of your competitors, you wouldn't send a catalogue around to one of them, so you shouldn't really follow it. Well, you can, but it just looks a bit odd. If I was looking at you as a customer point of view, and I looked at who you're following, and all you're following is other companies, I'd wonder what was going on there a little bit. So perhaps don't do that. Tweet the link. Okay, if you're doing a promotion, which is fine, I'm not saying never do promotions, but if you are tweeting a promotion or an offer or something like that, then make sure you follow on the link. So if it's a link on your website, then make sure the link works for a start. Test it before you tweet it, and make sure that the person can go through and buy whatever it is you're offering. I've actually seen some people tweet links, and I've clicked through on it, and it's been just a copy of an A5 flyer. with a phone number, which kind of like the person that's going to buy something from you through Twitter is not going to then download a flyer and then pick up the phone and order from it. So try and avoid that. So make sure you're tweeting the link. And the last one here is it like a free pointer, which is get involved. Going back to being human and don't just purely tweeting promotional things. Get involved. So there's lots of things you can do. So there's a thing called a hashtag you've probably seen on Twitter, and locations will have hashtags. So for example, Reading has a hashtag which is hashtag #RDJ. And if you tweet something about Reading, then put that hashtag on, or follow the Reading hashtag, and you'll see people who are tweeting about a place like Reading, and then you can follow. If you're in Reading, then it makes sense to follow people in Reading, and you'll pick up business that way. Also, comment on things that may be happening in Reading. If there's if you're in Reading and there's not just Reading, I'm just using an example, by the way. Don't feel like if you don't live in Reading that you can't be involved in this.
Been to Reading, it's a nice place. It's not the end of the world, but you can see it from there.
Yeah. So yeah, get involved. If there's a carnival on or something like that, just get involved in the communication. So another good one is football clubs. You'll find unless you're following the hashtag for someone like Man United, then and you're in Manchester, then don't bother following people from there because they'll all be from London. But if you follow a real football club like one like Norwich City, for example,
Norwich City, maybe Andy, okay,
a quality club like Norwich City, then you usually find they have real fans that live in or around the area of Norwich. So if you're a dealer in Norwich, check out Norwich City's hashtag, which is hashtag NCFC, and then you'll find lots of people in Norwich and who are likely to buy office supplies from you if you're a local supplier. And that's really it. If you combine all of that in, then you can get away with doing promotional tweets because people won't mind. And there's some of you doing it really well out there. There are some of you, not so much our customers, because we're a more intelligent breed of human. But those that aren't as fortunate enough to have an Evolution Webstore sometimes have some bad
beloved
practice.
Customers, smarter than the average bears. Hey, I suppose a good analogy, Andy, would be like us doing this video and just sitting with a list of features, rhyming them off in the video, and then sending that to the people. So the video is probably a good analogy. We try and make the video interesting, even if you're a non-Evolution customer, and put the content out there that people find valuable. And then every now and then, maybe one in every 5, one in every 10, we'll do a little plug for something new that we're working on.
Yeah, that's it. So that's really on Twitter. And those guys, if you're watching and you're not on Twitter and you feel like it may be something that you feel like is too complicated or anything like that, it's really not as complicated as it looks or sounds. Go to www.twitter.com, sign up. I think all you need to do is put your name in, come up with a username, which would be your Twitter name. So it could be your name or your business's name and a password, and then you're on there. Start following it. Look out for the addresses at the end of the video for all of our different Twitter accounts and get following us. I think we're up to something like 450 followers now on our Evolution account, which is, I think we're probably leading the industry there, so thank you all for those of you who follow us, and let's see if we can get it to 500, eh?
Yeah, and Twitter really is the place, guys. If you want to find out what the latest and greatest is at Evolution on a daily basis, then there's no better place to do that than following us on Twitter. We don't really email a load of stuff to people, You're going to find out what we do and what's happening daily if you follow us on Twitter. So get to the Twitter page, follow us, details at the end of the video.
Yeah, and on that note,
Andy.
On that note, I think if we have got something that we can't fit on Twitter that we need to tell you about, unless it's something really important, we won't email you. We know you get enough emails in on a daily basis to not bother you with emails a lot. So if it's something that something new that's coming or anything like that, then chances are we'll tweet about it and link to our blog. So we've updated our blog now, so the link will be at the end of the video for that as well.
Cool. So there you go, guys. Another great episode. Particularly good, that one. Great to have the guys at Freeman in there. We want to do more of that. So if you want to get involved in one of the future videos, then keep saying it. But let us know. Let Andy know. We'd be happy to have you. You can see how easy it is. You just need a Skype installed on the laptop, webcam and a mic, and you're away. So that's it for this week. We'll probably be back around about the same time next week, so until then, have a good one, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.